prophecy states that one day there will be one who can bring about great change and save the world from general evildoers and super nasty darkness in general. This one was hidden far, far away. A totally unexpected person you would never expect. A bumbling idiot of the everyday guy will now suddenly do great things. Any of this sounding familiar? The Chosen One cliché has been a storytelling device set in stone for centuries.
Hey! She's only interested in you because she thinks you're the Chosen One.
But I am the Chosen One. Okay, sorry.
From the mighty Greek god Thor being worthy to hold Mjolnir, Gandalf recruiting a burglar for a mighty adventure, or King Arthur pulling the sword from the stone. Fiction, even from its origin, has loved that certain sense of exclusivity. Why is this? And how has this led through to today's fiction? Well, before we go into the Neos and the Jesuses, it's important to remember that at its very core, fiction is all about escapism. The power to take you places, put you in conflicts, and through fictional empathy, with fictional people, incite emotions that aren't even your own. Everybody needs their own escape, and on a totally visceral level, that is what film is. Villains and heroes simply don't exist. Life can't be as black and white as films will lead us to believe. Morality and truth are subjective and stressful. For a content, happy piece of entertainment, we can enter for 2 hours a world ruled by a narrative. And that brings that happy conflict resolution logic, giving us excitement from the boredom and the hope of superficial peace. The Chosen One logic appeals to the everyman, the concept that the day will not be saved by the expected person to do such a thing, but in fact the last person you would expect. You. It's a very manipulative and inclusive idea, but it results in our unlikely hero being relatable. A character to latch onto in this strange fictional world, as I've spoken about in another editorial before. In some cases, the general main character is purposely bland, like a blank slate. This is so the audience can literally project themselves onto them, which for the record is where actors like Keanu Reeves and Shia LaBeouf get a lot of work.
And this is Burwale the Avenger. The weapon of the Chosen One. Tomorrow is your 25th birthday, and you must leave us to go in search of Punak the Destroyer.
Which brings us on to our first example of The Matrix 1999. This film follows the character of Neo as he learns he is in fact somebody known as the One. Suddenly he is thrown out of his grey monotone desk job and into the amazing truth of the Matrix, where he can fight evil, make his own choices and fly. Yes! Now this film, whilst having its faults, is a not so subtle retelling of the story of Jesus Christ. Ironically, the first ultimate story spoke of a chosen son. A man chosen from birth to bring about a great change. Modern storytelling has ever since reflected this. Contextually, film has a tendency for social change in the 1990s. I mean, if we go way back, this is the first generation without a war, the birth of the internet, and loads of other great changes resulted in this generation of weird people who felt alienated by normal day life. This, Fight Club amongst others, often told stories involving people working in their grey desk jobs, living out their days with a job and a home, which in the 90s meant there was something horribly wrong with your life. If there was any decade that needed to remind audiences that even the smallest person could make a change, it was then. People wanted adventure, and adventure they received. Like, boil it all down, do you know what Chosen One flying godman Neo's name is? It's Tom. Yeah, the guy who saves humanity is a messiah called Tom. He sits on his computer, not doing a lot, and then he gets to shoot some guns and do karate. In fact, I'm starting to understand this film's target audience. In Pokemon 2000, the movie, The Power of One, yeah, we only talk about the finest in film history here, our hero Ash is an existing character from an already very popular series. Whilst being the main character of his own respective cartoon, he was by no means a legendary trainer. He's no ultimate champion, famous hero, and had even lost to the Elite Four, having a giant moping session he soon comes to realise he's not the best. Ash is truly just a normal kid with a lot of adventures. The second movie in the constantly expanding library of fella stories speaks of a Chosen One. This island's festival and lore speaks of a boy named Ash Ketchum, one day awakening the legendary creature Lugia. It's a seemingly random yet huge event that our hero is pulled into with no prior setup, or hey, suddenly he's the chosen one. It leads to a perilous and fun adventure where lessons are learned, where he does befriend the creature, yet it is never brought up again. That wasn't the climax of his story. He does stuff before, he goes on to do stuff after. So, what was the point of this prophecy? In short, plot. It's become, in some cases, this trope is abused and a substitute for lazy writing. Why does our hero get involved in this unrelated event? Because the prophecy, commands it. And no matter which directors and series do it, it's almost never excusable. For example, can we talk about the Star Wars prophecy real quick? Yeah, this young kid called Anakin is going to bring balance to the Force. Great. How? Well, Anakin Skywalker very early on is established as the chosen one of the Star Wars universe. We're told this because of midichlorians and a bunch of wise stoner monks saying it is so. And we know this because the green guy, the green dude, he's really, really old. It's the most stereotypical prophecy in the book, and it's in a series of films from the past decade. A huge popular franchise in which this trope is often overlooked.
You were the chosen one!
Anakin is appointed the main character and cherry-picked one of prophecy due to him one day bringing peace to the Force. This is known as the climax of Anakin's story. And this climax was shown and told to the audience 30 years prior to these films being released. We saw the ending of this story when Darth Vader Christensen kills the Emperor and saves Luke. It's a touching moment, and it all builds up to this last-minute change of heart. And the thing is, right, what the presence of this revelation entails is that the entire 6-movie saga has led up to the point of one guy throwing an old man down a vent. Was that it? Was that the big prophecy? That's all that needed to happen? Okay, question. Why is Darth Vader the only person who could ever possibly do this? You can say it's because the universe aligned to have him in the right place at the right time, but that makes everything in these films mere circumstance. The chosen one could have literally been anybody. Anakin, despite his interesting rise and full character arc, is almost irrelevant as a person, because he's not really deserving of this destiny bestowed upon him. Hey, yeah, another question? What's the point of the prophecy? Because then there's the hilarious fact that Vader's killing of the Emperor serves almost no purpose, as mere minutes later, Lando Calrissian blows up the Death Star, killing all those inside. By that logic, this was a much more monumental and heroic moment. Had Vader not developed the sudden daddy pride, Lando would have brought peace to the Force. In fact, wait. Lando is the chosen one. Vader's just some turned lackey who stole the kill at the last minute, making this entire prophecy redundant. So anyway, who wrote this prophecy? Who would possibly be able to foresee this very small moment in history where one guy just happened to be in the position to kill the other? Why? To the series' credit, the original trilogy made no mention of this prophecy. It was only an addition made in the prequel films, presumably to place importance on this character of Anakin, for some reason, even though we already have our hook thanks to him growing into this guy. To be fair, these originals should not be dampened by the lore changes made decades down the line, when George Lucas has quite clearly turned into a madman and forgot what a Star Wars is. The truth is with Vader, is that ever since the reveal in the opening scene of A New Hope, he was never some hero chosen by destiny. His story did not go down in the accolades of time. He was more of the Empire's lapdog, a crazy religious nut with no mercy left from the olden times. He was the equivalent of a Nazi general or a Japanese warlord of the Empire. He was the main villain but also a mini-boss. Before the prequels or even a sequel was made, that was all he was. And had Empire Strikes Back not been put into production, which almost happened, that's all he would have remained. This is an instance where the prophecy card has in fact damaged existing films where it does not belong. The final example for today, on the other hand, is a film that embraces this writing technique and molds it into something more. The Lego Movie is an odd choice of film to incorporate into film theory, but this film expertly manages to deconstruct everything we're talking about today. At the beginning of the film, we meet the Grand Wizard parody character of Vesuvius, clearly inspired by the likes of Gandalf, Merlin, Dumbledore, etc.
One day, a talented lasso fellow, a special one with face of yellow, will make a piece of resistance found from its hiding refuge underground. And with a noble army at the helm, this master builder will thwart the Craggle and save the realm, and be the greatest, most interesting, most important person of all times. All this is true because it rhymes.
Oh, wow. That was a great, inspiring legend that you made up.
Vitruvius ad-libs a prophecy at the very beginning. It's later revealed he made up a prophecy to give the Master Builders hope, which in fact it does, to be fair. It was invented to give a hopeless cause meaning again. Because it rhymes. And it leads to Emmett's sacrifice, which causes him to become interesting and extraordinary, and the only thing he needed to become the chosen one was to be told that he was. The film has a moral that, whilst sure, destiny and the narrative don't exist in real life, that fact does not make you any less unique. Every single person can be special. The Lego Movie expertly does this, as it shows how ridiculous it is that a single person can be chosen. The chosen one is a silly idea, going so far as to describe the saviour of the world as the special by some magical prophecy. It doesn't distinguish sharply between extraordinary and ordinary citizens, explaining that it is toxic to regard some people having more worth than others. The film destroys the mindset that people have inherent value when they are born, which not only is a very real and mature theme, but it also ties in perfectly with the entire fallacy which is the prophecy, and why films today need to let it die. It's a cheat, it's inherent of half-assed writing, and it gives out entirely the wrong message. Everybody is special and is worthy of making a change, and being the protagonist of their own world, their own little story. It sounds cliche, but what I said at the start was right. If films truly are escapism in its truest form, then it should be properly inclusive. Include the everyman for the right reasons, but not a chosen hero everyman, because that's the moment we become distanced. When it's not about us, but instead what higher powers have planned for us. And that's just not what the escape of film should be. Making the hero everybody sometimes makes the hero nobody. Thank you for watching.